This mound has sat outside Nara, Japan, for over 1,700 years. Archaeologists believe they know exactly who is buried inside it. They are not allowed to dig it up and find out. The tomb is managed by Japan's Imperial Household Agency, and its policy is simple: no excavation, not for this mound, and not for any of the other candidate sites tied to the same missing ruler. Modern technology can map the mound's shape and estimate its age from the outside. It cannot tell them what or who is actually buried inside without physical access the agency refuses to grant. Almost everything we know about her doesn't come from Japan at all. It comes from a Chinese chronicle, written by people who had never seen her country, describing a queen Japan's own earliest records never mentioned by name. Archaeologists count dozens of these small, competing territories, active during this exact period, each with its own fortified settlement, its own leadership, and no larger structure holding any of them together. Archaeological evidence from this period shows both violence and trade happening side by side. Settlements raiding each other one season, exchanging goods and pottery styles the next. An unstable equilibrium nobody could sustain indefinitely. This happens during Japan's Yayoi period, in the 3rd century, long before anything resembling a unified nation existed. Instead, dozens of small chiefdoms fight each other across the islands, with no ruler able to hold them together. No single warlord can force the others to submit. Every attempt at conquest simply provokes new alliances against whoever seems to be winning, locking the whole region in a stalemate nobody can break through force alone. According to the Chinese account, the fighting goes on for years with no resolution. Eventually, the exhausted chiefdoms agree on something unusual. Rather than crown a warrior, they choose a woman who claims no army at all. Her name, as the Chinese record it, is Himiko. Not a general, not the daughter of a powerful clan by every account. A shaman, someone believed to communicate directly with spirits and control events through ritual rather than force. Nothing in the record suggests she was born into an especially powerful family. Whatever qualities convinced the exhausted chieftains to choose her, they appear to have had little to do with conventional bloodline or military strength. What exactly these rituals involved, the Chinese record leaves frustratingly vague. Divination, spirit communication, practices that outsiders clearly didn't fully understand, even while describing them as central to her authority. The isolation isn't incidental. Armed guards maintain the boundary permanently, making clear that whatever mystique surrounded her, it was actively protected and reinforced rather than left to chance or rumor alone. Once selected, she disappears almost entirely from public view. She lives inside a heavily guarded compound, attended by what the Chinese record describes as 1,000 female servants, and is almost never seen directly by anyone outside it. Petitioners and messengers from across her territory come to this gate, never expecting to see her directly, understanding entirely that her power operates through absence and mystery rather than public presence. Only one man is permitted to see her and speak with her. He relays her words to the outside world. Everyone else in her kingdom rules, negotiates, and worships a presence they can hear about, but never actually witness. The voyage itself carries genuine risk. Sailing this distance in 3rd century vessels was no small undertaking, which makes the decision to attempt it at all a sign of how seriously she took international legitimacy. In 238 AD, she sends an official embassy across the sea to the Chinese Wei court, formally requesting recognition as a legitimate ruler, an unusually sophisticated diplomatic move for a kingdom that, by outside appearances, looks more like a loose alliance of villages. When the envoys return with formal recognition from the most powerful empire in the region, it transforms her authority overnight from a locally accepted arrangement into something with genuine international legitimacy. The strategy works. The Wei court grants her the title Ruler of Hua, Friend of Wei, along with 100 bronze mirrors, small, polished objects that become, almost overnight, powerful political symbols back in her own territory. These mirrors aren't simply gifts. In a society without writing, without coinage, without any other centralized symbol of authority, a mirror traceable directly to the distant Chinese court becomes tangible proof of legitimacy. Local chieftains loyal to her distribute these mirrors as marks of favor and legitimacy. Archaeologists have since found them buried in elite tombs across the region, physical, datable proof that her diplomatic strategy actually worked. Her rival to the south never recognizes her authority at all, framing his own resistance as a rejection of a ruler whose power, in his telling, rested on foreign recognition rather than any legitimate local claim. At one point, she reportedly even requests military support from the Wei court against her southern rival, a request the record notes but doesn't confirm was ever actually fulfilled. Her rule isn't uncontested. A rival kingdom to the south, Kuna, ruled by a male king, remains in open conflict with her territory for years, a persistent threat the Chinese chronicle records, but never fully resolves. The conflict with Kuna never fully resolves during her lifetime. A persistent, unglamorous thread, the Chinese chronicle simply stops updating at a certain point, leaving its final outcome as unclear as almost everything else about her reign. Around 248 AD, according to the Chinese record, Himiko dies. What happens immediately afterward tells us almost as much about her authority as anything she did while alive. A male successor takes the throne. Within a short time, war breaks out again across the territory, described in the Chinese account as claiming over 1,000 lives. The fragile unity she'd held together, collapsing almost immediately without her. Several male claimants reportedly attempt to take power in the chaos immediately following her death, and none manage to hold it, a detail that suggests her authority relied on something specific to her that none of them could replicate. Peace only returns once a 13-year-old relative of Himiko's, a girl named Iyo, is installed as the new ruler. Apparently, only another woman from her own bloodline could hold the same fractured alliance together. The scale of mourning described matches the scale of the tomb itself. A ruler who spent her entire reign hidden from view, given, in death, one of the largest and most visible monuments of her era. The Chinese record even claims more than 100 attendants were buried alongside her, a practice, if accurate, that would place her burial among the most significant ritual events of the entire Yayoi period. The Chinese chronicle describes her burial mound as enormous, over 100 paces across, built with the forced labor of more than 100 attendants. That description alone has driven a century of archaeological searching. And here is where the real mystery begins. Nobody agrees on where any of this actually happened. Historians have argued for over a century between two possible locations, separated by hundreds of miles. A third, less popular theory proposes something in between, that her sphere of influence may have shifted or expanded during her decades in power, making a single fixed location impossible to pin down definitively either way. The distances recorded in the original Chinese account don't cleanly match either location when measured against modern geography, which is exactly why this argument has never been definitively settled by textual evidence alone. One camp argues for northern Kyushu, based on distance measurements recorded in the original Chinese text. If they're right, Himiko was likely a significant but ultimately local ruler, never connected to what later became Japan's imperial line. Pottery styles, grave goods, and settlement patterns recovered from both regions have all been compared exhaustively against the original Chinese description, without either side producing evidence conclusive enough to end the debate. The other camp points to the Nara region, where massive tombs and palatial ruins from this exact period have actually been found. Physical evidence a small Kyushu settlement mostly lacks. If they're right, the implications are enormous. Japanese chronology from this same period, when compared against the Chinese record, runs noticeably out of sync. Another detail some historians argue points to deliberate later editing rather than simple record-keeping error. Because if Himiko ruled from Nara, she sits uncomfortably close to the origins of Japan's imperial family itself, a line the country's own mythology insists descends directly and continuously from the sun goddess, unbroken. Both chronicles were compiled and revised under close supervision by committees whose explicit purpose was strengthening the imperial family's claim to unbroken divine descent, not preserving a complete historical record. Which brings us to the strangest part of this entire story. Japan's own earliest histories, the Kojiki and the Nihon Shoki, compiled less than 5 centuries after her death, never mention her by name at all. Multiple clans with political stakes in the eventual imperial lineage had reason to shape how these early chronicles were written, each account reflecting whichever version best served the family, compiling or sponsoring it. These chronicles were compiled under direct imperial supervision, specifically to establish and legitimize the unbroken divine lineage of the ruling family. A shaman queen from an earlier, possibly unrelated dynasty didn't fit that story. Some historians believe she does appear in these Japanese texts after all, just disguised. A princess named Yamato Hime, or a legendary Empress Jingu with pronounced shamanistic qualities. Both bear suspicious similarities to the woman the Chinese described in detail. Shrines dedicated to Empress Jingu still operate actively across Japan today, their worshippers largely unaware they may be honoring a heavily mythologized version of the same woman the Chinese chronicle described in far more grounded political terms. The shamanistic rituals, the isolation from public view, even specific details about how each figure communicated with spirits line up closely enough that the comparison has become a serious, ongoing academic debate rather than idle speculation. If that theory holds, it means Japan's earliest ruling dynasty didn't simply forget about Himiko. It renamed her, folded her into a more convenient legend, and quietly wrote the inconvenient parts of her story out entirely. Then, in 2009, researchers dated wooden materials from a trench surrounding a specific candidate tomb, the Hashihaka Kofun near Nara, to the exact period she would have died. For a moment, it looked like the mystery might finally close. It didn't. The Imperial Household Agency, which manages the site as a potential imperial burial ground, has continued to refuse permission for full excavation, a policy that applies to nearly every tomb linked, even distantly, to Japan's royal lineage. Multiple academic associations have formally petitioned for even limited, non-invasive access using modern scanning technology rather than full excavation. Even these more modest requests have largely gone unanswered. Archaeologists have petitioned for decades. Their argument is straightforward. Genuine scientific access could finally resolve one of the oldest open questions in Japanese history. The agency's position has not meaningfully changed. Their official reasoning centers on respect for the dead and the sanctity of possible imperial burial sites. Critics argue something else may also be at stake: the risk of what excavation might actually reveal about the imperial line's true, messier origins. Visitors today can walk the perimeter path and view the mound from a distance, close enough to see its shape, far enough that whatever lies beneath its surface remains exactly as undisturbed as it was 17 centuries ago. Whatever the true motive, the practical result is the same. The one place that might hold Himiko's actual remains, her possessions, physical proof of exactly who she was, sits sealed, protected, and permanently out of reach. What survives instead are fragments, mirrors scattered across dozens of elite tombs, a handful of contested textual clues, and a description written by outsiders who never once set foot inside her private compound. Japan's first recorded ruler was a woman almost nobody outside her own inner circle was ever allowed to see while she lived. Nearly 2,000 years later, her own country still won't let anyone see what's left of her now. Every mirror ever found only shows you your own face looking back, not hers. That, in the end, is about as close as anyone has ever gotten.